Jade, thank you very much for being willing to do this interview with me. I look forward to knowing more about your perspectives. So let's start with like something little, just your self introduction.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Jade. I'm 23 years old. I'm an American living in Portugal. I've been living here for a few years now, and I'm studying. I'm studying language here. I studied art in the United States, so I really like to do a lot of artistic, creative stuff. I like to play music. I like to create things, and I love to learn. I'm always trying to learn something new, and I'm very open-minded. So if anybody ever has anything that they want to tell me but they think I don't know yet, I'm like always open to learning new things and having my mind changed.
Hmm, I see. Can I ask you like what part of America are you in? Is it on the
I'm I'm from Colorado, but I lived in a whole bunch of different states. I lived
oh,
mostly on the west side, but then I also lived in the south for a little while too.
so right now you are in the south?
Right now I'm in Portugal.
Portugal. Oh, I see, I see. Okay, so it's
Yeah,
like Europe.
right, right. But yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
grew up
why
in the
your
United
time
States.
zone is like not as I expected, I guess. Hmm.
Right, but
Okay.
yeah, now I'm in the or now I'm in Portugal, and yeah, loving living here.
Hmm. How long have you been living there?
I've been living here for a few years,
Oh.
like a little more than a year and a half.
Hmm. I see. I see. Okay. Yeah. Let me try to move on to the main topic for today. Yeah.
Okay,
So um, let me just tell you about, I guess, my understanding about your values when it comes to what
okay,
you are trying to spread. And you
okay.
can correct me or add on something else. Yeah. So I guess like you are against um, treating animals. Mm, I'm sorry. Like basically something that you wouldn't do to a human being. Maybe you think it's wrong to do that to an animal. Would you say that's like a fair assumption?
Yeah, I mean, like, for the most part, yeah. Like, I don't see a morally relevant difference between humans and other sentient individuals that is significant enough that it would justify exploiting or enslaving or killing them when you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And can you like be more specific when it comes to like exploiting or like enslaving things like those? Yeah. Can you
Sure.
like give some
Yeah.
examples?
Yeah, well, like exploiting, I feel like that's kind of like a big blanket term that kind of covers it all. Like if you're using an animal to take their milk, or using an animal to take their eggs, or breeding animals, or obviously like killing an animal to use their body for food. Those are all forms of exploitation. It's also a form of exploitation to like own an animal to give you rides or like so there's lots of forms of exploitation. But um, like there while there's differences between humans and non-human animals, I don't see a difference that's big enough that it would make it okay to use some animals for their milk or their eggs or their bodies for flesh, um, and not do it to humans. I don't see a difference that's big enough that would grant that in my perspective.
Mm-hmm. So how do you like decide if this, I guess, behavior is wrong? Do you have like a standard?
Yeah, well, so I value sentience, the ability to have a subjective experience, the ability to feel joy or to suffer. And so that's kind of what I base it off of. So animals, except for like we don't know about bivalves, but like most animals we know are sentient. Um, so that's how I'm granting this moral value. And a lot of the time I can like put myself in the perspective of the animal and I think, okay, like if I was a cow, for example, and I had a baby, so I was lactating and making milk, I would think it would be extremely wrong for somebody else to take my milk to sell. And since I can put myself in the animal's perspective, I don't want to do that to them. And I would want somebody to stand up for me, and that's why I'm standing up for them.
Hmm. I see. So like I guess you just try to put yourself in some animal's shoes to decide if that's like wrong.
Right, because we're animals too, humans are
Hmm.
animals too. And
Yeah.
I think we all know that like they can feel joy and they can suffer. Like if you've ever had a dog or something, you know that like they can feel happy, they can feel sad, just like us. And yeah, they can have good experiences and bad experiences. And so yeah, I can't think of a good justification to use them for my own personal benefit.
Hmm. I think you mentioned like, do you think it's wrong to have pets?
Um, I don't think it's wrong to have pets. I mean, it depends. I
Hmm.
live with a spider. I live with a giant wolf spider. He's like this big. Um, he actually bit me last night. I have a spider bite on my face. He bit me last
Oh,
night. So,
wow.
but anyways, yeah, I don't think it's wrong to have pets. I think it's wrong to
Mm,
purchase animals, and I think
mm,
it's wrong to breed animals for the same reasons that I think it would be wrong to sell humans and breed humans, but I don't think it's wrong to adopt animals. I think that's a very nice thing to do. Like they need homes. Um, I don't think it's wrong to take somebody that needs help into your care. What the problem that I see is doing it with the sole purpose of exploiting them. So, like purchasing somebody, I think purchasing somebody is wrong, um,
mm,
no matter what species. And then I also think it's wrong to adopt somebody with the intention of using them. Like, for example, if you adopted um, I'll use a cow example again. If you adopted a cow specifically because she just had a baby and she was lactating, she was making milk, and if you adopted her specifically to take her milk, I think that's wrong too. For the same reason it would be wrong to do that to a human.
mm. How do you define like adopt?
Adopt, like they need a home,
Mm,
they need a place to go, and so you take them into your care. It's not like going to somebody that's breeding animals and purchasing them, because I think that breeding is wrong and forcing animals to have babies so that you can sell them and make money. I think that's wrong.
mm, mm. What are some things that you think are like inherently wrong with breeding animals? Because I don't have like a very deep understanding when it comes to that. So like when you say breeding, I don't feel like it's um super wrong. Yeah, can you like talk a little bit
Yeah,
more about this?
sure, yeah. So it's like making them have babies. Um,
Mm,
and if we can think about this in the human context, like like imagine you take like we do this with dogs a lot. We breed them to make them cute and to sell
mm,
them for puppies. But like imagine if we did that for humans, if we took two conventionally attractive humans,
mm,
forced them to mate and have babies, and then sold their babies for profit. And that was like the business. You take some people that you find and you make them have babies and you sell their babies. Do you see
mm,
like an ethical issue with that?
mm. I
Right. And
see.
so that's the same ethical issue I see with doing it to animals that aren't human. But there's even more into this. Like if you look into animals that have been bred over and over again, it's extremely hard on their bodies.
Mm,
Um, and it's just really sad to see. There's a lot of dogs around in my neighborhood that people breed, and you can tell that they've been bred over and over again, um, because their bodies don't look like they're taking great care of them, and it's really sad to see. Um,
mm,
so yeah, that's the issue that I have with it. And even if their bodies aren't in terrible conditions and their owners are taking like great care of them, I still think it's wrong for the same reason that it would be wrong to do it to humans.
mm, mm. Yeah, like my thought is just that it feels a little bit weird. But
Right.
honestly, I can like mm, pinpoint what's exactly weird about this. I guess like you just gave the example of doing this to humans. I just thought it's weird, but what's like do you think is like really wrong about this?
Um, it's using somebody else for personal benefit and deciding the
Mm,
purpose of
mm,
somebody else's life. And
mm,
that's why I compare it to slavery. It is like
mm, mm,
slavery. The only difference between human slavery and this is the species, but it is like
mm,
slavery. It's taking somebody else's life, deciding the purpose for it is to serve you,
mm.
and then using them.
So I guess like a big problem is that there's no consent.
Yes, that's precisely it. There's no
Mm,
consent. And non-human animals, just like babies, are like unable to give informed consent. So I think that using
mm,
them in any way is wrong.
okay, okay. So like even if they don't feel like um they don't feel bad, I guess. Like they have
Right,
their right to explore their life.
right. Even if they don't feel bad. Like,
Mm,
and you can put this in the human context again, like if there was a child
mm, mm,
and you were using the child for some reason, like I'm trying to think of an example. Like, let's say you had a child with really beautiful hair, and you like had a baby with somebody specifically to get this child with this like really beautiful hair or whatever. And your whole reason for raising the child is to take their hair and sell it online. The child might be having a great life. The child might, um, still like not be suffering or not be in pain, but I still think that it's wrong because you're exploiting the child and you're deciding that the purpose of their life is to give you hair.
mm. Okay. I think I have a better understanding now. So like can I ask you how you got your spider?
Oh, he was here before I was here. I moved in and he was already in here, and I just
Oh,
let him stay. I'm like, you know what, you can stay. He's been a pretty good roommate up
oh,
until last night when he bit me.
oh, okay. So the wound is from yesterday.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Did it hurt?
it happened in my sleep, and it doesn't hurt
Oh,
that bad, but it looks
okay.
kind of gnarly, but it doesn't hurt that
Mm.
bad.
So do you treat like a pet or just like a living thing that's like in where you live?
I don't treat him like a pet. I don't do anything for him. He just
Mm,
exists in my living space, and I also exist here. And
mhm,
I think we mutually benefit each other because I turn on the electricity and make it warm in here, and he catches
mm,
other bugs in here. So there's a mutual benefit.
mhm. So I guess like you just respect it.
Right.
Mm,
Yeah, and
okay.
if he was really bothering me, I would catch him and put him outside, but I don't mind him here. I think he's kind of cool. He has really
Mm,
big eyes. Um, and yeah, I think he's cool.
mhm. I see. Okay. So did you? I don't think you always had this kind of value because I would say this is like not mainstream. Yeah. So
Right. That's
mm, let's see. Like what was your value on all of this growing up? All
yeah,
that you said. Yeah.
yeah, that's a great question. I was raised eating meat and eating
Mm,
animal products. I
mm,
wasn't born vegan.
mm,
Um, and but when I was 10, I decided to go vegetarian because I was just thinking about like where meat comes from, how it's an animal's body, and um, I couldn't think of a good justification to keep on eating animals because I knew that purchasing meat was paying for an animal to be killed. And so I stopped eating meat when I was 10. And then later, like 5 years later, when I was 15, I learned about the standard practices in the dairy industry and the egg industry. And that made me adopt a plant-based diet. So if you don't know, some of the standard practices in the dairy industry are because cows don't just make milk because they're cows. You know, mothers make milk to breastfeed their babies. So the standard practices in the industry for like factory farming are to take the male cow, basically like jack him off and collect his semen, and then force it into the cow unconsensually, force her to be pregnant, and then she has her baby, and they take the baby away because the baby wants to breastfeed from their mother, and that wouldn't be profitable to the industry. And I've seen this with my own eyes, the baby being separated from the mother, and they cry for each other. It's like the saddest thing I've ever seen. They'll be like mooing for each other for days. Um, and I learned about that, and I'm like, wow, that's like, this is sex trafficking. There's no way that I can support this. So I stopped drinking milk, and I learned about the egg industry, which is, you know, taking these females that which have been selectively bred and genetically modified to lay a lot of eggs. You know, like chickens in the wild that haven't been tampered with by humans are only laying like 8 to 15 eggs a year, just like a human, period, because it is an ovulation cycle. But the chickens in the egg industry have been selectively bred and genetically modified to lay like 300 eggs a year, which is extremely hard on their bodies. Um, that's like, yeah, it's like a period every day. It's extremely hard on their bodies. And then there's a culling process in the egg industry too. When the chicks are born, since the baby boys don't have a female reproductive system, they don't really have much financial benefit to the industry. So they are killed like the day that they're born, either by being thrown in a macerator, like a giant blender, or like sometimes they're put into gas chambers. But it's just like a horrific, violent cycle. And both of these industries, the dairy industry and the egg industry, are just exploiting the female anatomy and killing all the baby boys because they don't have the female anatomy. They'll do that in the dairy industry too. They'll, you know, kill the baby boys and use their bodies for veal because they can't make milk, so they're not really much other benefit to the industry. And the girls they'll raise just like their mothers to be sexually exploited. So when I learned about these industries, I like adopted a plant-based diet, but I still wasn't like vegan yet. It was like a very gradual shift. Like because I still didn't fully um, have the belief that exploiting animals is always wrong. I thought, okay, factory farming is wrong, so I'm not going to eat these products because they're from factory farms, and that's wrong. But like then later, I came to the realization that or the conclusion that it doesn't matter if it's on a factory farm or a local farm or if it's however it's done. Exploiting these animals is wrong, and I have no good moral justification to exploit them, no matter the proximity to me, no matter how like far away they are, no matter like how humanely it's done. It's always wrong because that's another thing, like humane means done with compassion and benevolence. So there really is no humane way to kill or exploit somebody.
okay.
So yeah, that brought me to where I am now.
Okay, that's a lot to, I guess, unpack. Yeah, let me start
Yeah.
with like your 10-year-old self. So, you decided to not eat meat because I guess you felt like this is like a way of mm, supporting a bad industry. Would that be fair? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay. Did
And
you
I
had
didn't
this?
want somebody else to have to die for me, when they don't have
Mm,
to.
okay. Mm. Um, did you have this realization? Just like coming, like, did you have this from yourself or because of some other information?
I just had it for myself, just thinking.
Mm. Okay. But I guess that's like a mm, pretty fair thinking, I guess. I mean, like most people just don't think about it, but if you actually think deeper, it's just like what you thought. Yeah.
Right,
So I guess you just thought a little bit more than what other people do, and you took actions, I guess.
right.
Mm,
There was another moment that I had around the age of 10. I was
mm,
talking about how much I love like dogs and cats, and I was eating meat at the time. And somebody told me, like, well, that's an animal too that you're eating. Why do you eat one and love the other? And that's another thing that got me thinking about it, just thinking more about it, that led me to the decision to go vegetarian.
mm. Okay. Was it hard to cut out meat? Mm, yeah, it can be on different aspects. So, for example, how people around you think about this, or how you personally feel.
I mean, it was kind of hard at first, like, just because I like the taste of meat,
Mm,
and my family was eating meat. And so, like, if I was gonna sit down with my family for a meal, like, and they were having meat, I would just need to get something else for myself. And so that was kinda difficult because I'm, just like a kid. But it wasn't that hard, honestly. It wasn't that hard,
mm,
and I, like, talked to my mom, and I'm like, "Hey, if you're making a dish with meat, can you make the meat separate so that I can still eat it and just not have the meat?" Um, but yeah, it wasn't that hard. It was kinda hard at first just 'cause it's trying something new, but, um, like, it didn't take very long of not eating meat for it to not appeal to me anymore. After, like, a
mm,
few months of not eating meat, I stopped viewing meat as food, and I started viewing it as an animal that didn't want to die, and that made it a lot easier because it, like, didn't even sound good to me anymore.
mm.
And then,
Okay.
like, there's, like, plant-based meats, and, a lot of them taste, like, really similar, and, they're good, and so, if I'm craving meat, I can just have the plant-based meat.
Um, what did your family or friends think about your shift?
My family, when I went vegetarian, they that said that, like, this is a phase, and I'll grow out of it. And then I went vegan later, and they're like, "Okay, maybe it's not a phase." But yeah, they were not extremely supportive. Um, I remember, like, soon after I went vegetarian, like, my dad was making burgers, and he's like, "If you have one of these burgers, I'm not gonna tell anybody. You can just have it, not tell
Mm,
anybody." I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm not gonna eat it." Um, and yeah, so I haven't felt like I've had people in my life that really get it. Like my family and friends aren't vegan, except I moved here kind of recently and I made these friends. Um, I made these friends kind of recently. I mean, not I moved here kind of recently. I made these friends here kind of recently. And I started talking to them about animal rights, and they are all, it's three girls, and all three of them are transitioning to veganism now. So that feels awesome to have some people that get it, feel like they really get it, and I'm like extremely proud of them for being willing to have these like types of discussions with me and taking animals into their moral consideration. So right now, at this point in my life, I do have friends that are like supportive of my decision and I feel like get it. But up until this point, I don't feel like I've had that in my life.
mm. Okay. And when you were 15, you saw some more information about like dairy and the egg industry. You mentioned that you saw with your own eyes that like a baby cow and a mother cow is like separated. Can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, yeah. So the first thing that got me learning about the dairy industry is this 5-minute YouTube video called Dairy is Scary, and it has footage from like real farms. And that came out about the time I was 15. And yeah, that video was pretty eye-opening for me. I also watched some other um, footage from inside farms, um, not just in the United States, but like farms like all over the world, like footage from inside of the farms and what it really looks like to get these animals from um, the farms to the store to my plate. And it was just very eye-opening information.
So it's like you saw this from videos instead. It's not like with your in person. It's not in person.
No, I haven't gone in person.
Okay. And when it comes to like the egg industry, it's also from videos.
Right, from, yeah, footage, real footage of
Mm,
like real farms and slaughterhouses.
mm. Do you have any like titles like you mentioned with like dairy industry?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, so Dairy is Scary, that's only a 5-minute video. There's also a documentary called Dominion, and that's a free documentary on YouTube. And it has a bunch of footage from farms, and it shows the standard practices of farming all different types of animals. It's based in Australia, but it shows standard practices worldwide.
hmm. Are you talking about like dairy industry or like egg industry or just everything?
It goes over dairy industry and the egg industry and the meat industry for pigs and
Mm,
other animals. But yeah, that there's a lot of information to learn.
hmm. Okay. Let's see. So I guess like yeah, your value changed gradually. Hmm.
It did, because at that point in my life, I was on a plant-based diet because I was against like factory farming. But at this point in my life, I'm not just against factory farming, I'm against using animals in any way.
Hmm.
And yeah, the size of the farm or the how the welfare on the farm, it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. I think that exploiting them is always wrong for the same reason it would be wrong to do it to humans, because I can't see a difference that's significant enough to
Hmm.
make it matter the species as long as they're sentient.
Hmm. So like I guess your diet is still plant-based, but your philosophy is like broader now.
Yes, exactly.
How would you like describe your identity or like this kind of philosophy?
Um, well, I think I value sentience. As I mentioned, I value sentience a lot, and I value consent a lot. Um, and I think like in order to be morally consistent with my position on valuing consent, it would be wrong for me to use animals in any way because just like human children, they're unable to give informed consent. Um, so yeah, I value consent a lot, and I think I have a lot of the same values as lots of people. I think lots of people's values, most people's values, are in line with veganism, but there's this cognitive dissonance that happens in the mind that like because we're born into a world that says that it's okay to exploit animals and that animals are here to serve us. Um, But I think that most people's values are actually in line with veganism, and it just takes breaking down this cognitive dissonance in the mind. So, I think pretty much everybody values consent. I think pretty much everybody's against slavery. I think most people value sentience. Um, it just takes like putting all those pieces together and um, recognizing that there's no morally relevant difference between one sentient individual and another that would
Mm.
justify exploiting one.
So would you say like the word vegan is like a good word to describe your state or like situation?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I mean, some people have different definitions of veganism, but yeah, my definition is valuing sentience and consent and being um, morally consistent with your beliefs and your actions.
Mm. I guess in many cases you can just think of an animal like a gullible baby, I guess.
Yeah, precisely.
Mm. Okay. I guess that would make it easier for people to relate. Mm.
Right. Or even if you have a hard time thinking about them as a human, like you could think about them as a dog. Lots of people have a soft spot in their hearts for dogs. People grow up with dogs as pets, and many people view dogs as members of their family.
That's a good point. Yes. What are some things you would say you do differently compared to like a just average modern person?
Um, well, obviously, I don't eat animals or animal secretions, so that's the biggest thing. Um, I wouldn't like ride a horse. I haven't ridden horses since I decided to be vegan because the horse can't consent to giving somebody a ride. Um, I make sure that the things that I buy aren't tested on animals. Um, if let's see, I mean, I live a pretty normal life. It's just my view of animals that I think is different from most people. I view them as individuals that aren't here to serve me.
Hmm. Okay. I guess just you can think of, I mean, like people can think of it like um, if something is wrong to do to a baby, um, and people do that to an animal, maybe you are not going to support that.
Right, yeah. What do you
Okay.
think about that?
What do you mean? Oh,
Like, what do you think about that?
you mean like doing something that's bad to babies to animals?
Right.
Hmm. I mean, I'm honestly like still um trying to figure all this out. Yeah, it's
I gotcha.
I'm still trying to like learn, I guess.
It's a
Yeah.
lot to think about, because like we spend our whole lives in this society that tells us that it's okay to exploit animals and they're here to serve us and be our commodities. So
Hmm.
it is like a very different way of thinking from, what we're all very used to.
Let's see. Hmm. Do you think there is a way that you can figure out if a horse wants to be ridden by you?
Um, no, I don't think that there is a way. Like, I mean, you could maybe teach the horse to give you consent. Like you could maybe teach the horse to show some type of signal that shows that they want to be ridden. But it would be hard to tell if the horse is actually wanting to be ridden or if the horse is just wanting exercise. Because, horses need exercise, and I think a lot of people confuse the horse wanting to have exercise with wanting to be ridden. Maybe the horse wants to be ridden because it needs exercise, and that's the only way that it knows how to easily get exercise. Um, but I think it's wrong to use them for rides. Like, and if we put this into the human context, like if you imagine if I adopt this child specifically to give me piggyback rides because I like getting piggyback rides or whatever, the child might grow up to think that that's its purpose and possibly even like not mind giving me piggyback rides everywhere. But I still think that it's wrong because it's using the individual to serve me and it's assigning a purpose to their life to serve me, which I think is wrong because they're their own individuals um, that have their own lives.
Hmm. Okay. I agree that that is wrong. Yeah. But if it's like an adult to an adult, like if they make like a they have a agreement, like an adult is okay with being like ridden by someone else. Um, I feel like that's okay. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like imagine if that's possible. If it's
I think
possible to
it's
do that
okay.
with animals. Yeah.
Right. I think it's okay in the adult situation as well, but the adult is able to give informed consent, and that's the difference. That's the difference. A child isn't really able to give informed consent, just like a non-human animal is unable to give informed consent to a human.
Maybe they
So
are not able to think that deeply.
yeah, or if that's like what they've been doing their whole life, yeah, it might be hard for them to see further past beyond that and other options. But
Mm.
if we were able to figure out a way to communicate with horses, and they were able to give us informed consent, then I wouldn't really see a problem with it.
Mm, okay. So I guess like a big problem is that maybe you are shaping animal's worldview with like how you treat them from when they are born. That can be a big problem.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and it's a lot similar to it's very similar to human slavery. Um, like if somebody is born a slave and that's all that they know, they might just cooperate. But that doesn't make it right. And I see the same thing with non-human animals.
Okay. Mm. What do you think about eating plants? Like, do you think this is wrong, or it's okay, or it's less wrong?
Yeah, I don't see any issue with eating plants because plants aren't sentient. We have no sufficient research showing that plants are sentient. We do like know that other animals, most other animals, not like bivalves, but like cows and pigs and chickens and fish, we know that they are sentient. So they're able to have a subjective experience. They're able to feel pain and pleasure. They're able to suffer. Um, so that's why I think it's wrong to exploit them. Plants aren't able, that we know of, to have a subjective experience, to suffer, to feel joy. Um, there's no sufficient evidence showing that they are conscious. But here's the thing, even if plants were sentient, even if we found out that plants can feel pain and plants can suffer and have a great experience and they don't want to die, I would still be in favor of veganism because um, an animal-based diet uses a lot more plants than a plant-based diet because a lot of the crops that we're growing, many of the crops that we're growing are being fed to the non-human animals that we're farming. Um, we're forcing 92 billion land animals into existence every single year just to exploit and kill. And we're feeding all of them a whole bunch of plants. So a plant-based diet actually results in less plant death than an animal-based diet. Um, and I could go more into the amount of animals that we're farming into a year. Like, I think it's insane, like, that we're farming and killing 92 billion land animals every single year, forcing them into existence. And we still have millions of people starving to death. Like we can't even feed all of the billions of people that are here on Earth, but we're able to overfeed and kill 92 billion land animals a year just for human benefit. That's insane to me. And actually, like, we could feed the whole planet um, using significantly less like land and water and energy if we all were on like a plant-based diet, because plant-based diets use like 75% less land, because mostly because of all the food that the animals are eating. They use like 75% less land, 60 I think 65 or 66% less water, um 70 something percent less energy. I have this written down actually. I can get the real numbers. Um, they use 75% less land, have a 77% lower carbon footprint, 65% less water, and exponentially less energy. And if like the whole world, if all the people were on plant-based diets, we could feed the entire population using 25% of the land and resources that we currently are. So yeah, sorry, got on a little tangent there, but um, I forgot what the original question was. Sorry.
Yeah, so like it's just like I guess how wrong is eating plants, but I guess based on what you just said, you don't really think there's like a big problem with eating plants. Like you don't think they um
Correct.
like they are sentient. Hmm.
Right.
Okay.
I haven't seen, I've looked into this a lot and I haven't found any
Mm,
research showing that they are sentient.
okay, I see. Are there some let's see. What about like things like um shellfish? Like there are some things that don't look like they feel pain that are living creatures, I guess.
Yeah, like bivalves, we don't know if bivalves are sentient or not. So, I'm not really standing up for bivalves because I don't know if they're sentient or not. Um, I
Hmm.
personally won't eat them because it's just kind of gross to me. I don't like the way that they smell or anything, but I don't really see a moral issue with consuming them. And that's
Hmm.
something that like some vegans will disagree with me on, but that's my stance. I don't see a moral issue because they're not sentient. We don't know that they are able to suffer or not suffer, just like plants. So I don't really care about bivalves.
Hmm. What about like insects?
Insects are sentient. Insects are able to have subjective experience. They have much less sentience than like mammals. So, like if I had to choose in like a trolley problem between a cow
Hmm.
and a fly, I'm gonna pick the cow because
Hmm.
they're more sentient, much more sentient. I would probably pick the cow over five flies or um, however many. So sentience comes in levels. It's not like you're either sentient or you're not sentient. It's different levels. There's levels of sentience. Um, but bugs are definitely sentient. So I wouldn't kill a bug just because, I wouldn't kill them if I don't have to.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Is there like a way to decide if something is sentient?
Yeah, this is a great question. Um, I don't have all the answers for this because,
Hmm.
like when I think about sentience, I think about the central nervous system. I think about having a brain. Um, so those are like clear signs of sentience, a brain and a central nervous system. But I don't know, like I've been thinking a lot about AI lately and the potential for AI to become sentient. I think it's definitely possible for AI to become sentient. AI doesn't have a brain or a central nervous system. So I don't know exactly how I would define sentience. Well, I guess I would define it as the ability to have a subjective experience, but I don't know how I would determine that exactly. The easy answer is a brain and a central nervous system, but I think that there's more than that, and I don't exactly have the answer.
Hmm. Okay. What do you think about like microorganisms? So like bacteria,
Yeah, bacteria is not
parasites.
sentient.
Hmm.
Yeah, bacteria is not sentient. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna cry when I brush my teeth in the morning and kill the bacteria in my mouth. Um, yeah, so yeah, I don't care about bacteria. Um,
Okay. Hmm. Um, what do you think are some things that people think are normal that you think are wrong? I guess we already covered some, but can you tell a little bit about this?
um, One of the biggest ones is that cows make milk for humans to drink. I think that's crazy. We're the only species of animal that, first of all, drinks milk as adults, grown adults. We're the only ones that drink milk after infancy. And we're also the only animal that drinks milk from another species. And I think it's very weird. It's super normalized. And like growing up, I thought it was totally normal. And I ate a lot of like dairy products like cow's milk and cheese and ice cream and whatever. And I still do. I just eat the vegan versions. I eat vegan ice cream and cheese and milk. But like looking back on it, it's actually really weird. You know, like imagine if you saw somebody just drinking a cup of dog milk and they're like, oh, this is just my dog milk. I drink it. Like that would be weird. I don't really see a difference between that and like a cow's milk because cows only make milk to feed their babies. So yeah, that's something that I think is super weird.
Hmm. Anything else?
I mean, there's lots of things like,
Hmm.
but
Obviously, eating meat. Hmm.
I think that farming animals is weird and breeding animals, like taking animals and deciding to make them have babies for humans to sell. I think that's weird. Um, Testing products on animals, I think, is weird. Um, yeah.
Okay. Hmm. So I guess like when it comes to your family, all of them are just eating normally.
My family's all on omnivorous diets. Yeah, they eat
Mm-hmm.
animals and animal products.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you try to like change them?
Um, I mean, I don't really try to change people. I try to make people realize that veganism is in their within their belief system already. Because I do believe that veganism is in many people's belief system. Many people, I think most people, don't want animals to suffer. Many people don't. I mean, many people are against slavery, are like for consent, and I think that there's just this like separation in the mind, like separating like cows and pigs and chickens from humans and dogs and cats. There's compartmentalizing um, that we're like indoctrinated into, like as soon as we're born. But I do think that most people's beliefs are already in line with veganism. So I try to ask, thought-provoking questions and get people to come to that conclusion themselves.
Mm. Okay. So when it comes to the people around you, I guess it's not like in a forceful way. It's just like you try to make them think.
Right, yeah. I don't want to
Mm.
force anybody to do anything.
Mm. Okay. How do they usually respond?
Um, People don't like to have their worldview shaken, and people don't. a lot of the time people don't want to think about where the food that's on their plate is actually coming from. So, sometimes people are grateful that I bring it to their attention, and sometimes people get upset with me for bringing it to their attention because they don't want to know. But I
Mm,
think, if you're gonna pay for animals to be exploited, the very least that you could do is to be aware of where they're coming from and the real cost of like a burger.
mm, okay. When you like try to make them think, mm, can you like give some examples?
Sure. Some thought-provoking questions might be like, um, would you be okay with what we do to pigs, for example? Would you be okay if we did that to dogs? Or would you be okay if we did that to humans? And most people would be like, no, I don't think that would be
Mhm,
okay to raise them, to kill them, to eat them. And so then I would ask, so what is the difference between humans and non-human animals that makes it okay to do this to the non-human animals, but not okay to do it to humans? And this is actually what led me to be vegan. These like questions is what led me to be vegan because I can't think of a morally relevant difference between humans and non-human animals that would make it okay to exploit and kill one but not the other. Obviously, there's differences between us. Like, we might be smarter, humans are smarter, but if our smartness was the difference that made it okay to kill one but not the other, that would mean that it would be okay to kill and exploit mentally handicapped people that aren't as smart as us, and obviously that's ableist, that's not okay. Um, and yeah, just all of these differences led to these um, uh, just not good positions to hold, like ableism and stuff. And so, yeah, I think that those questions are good to think about.
mm, okay. Mm. Let
Can I
me.
ask, like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think that it would be okay to do what we're doing to like cows and pigs and chickens? Do you think that would be okay to do to other humans?
Mm, I'm definitely against like hurting human beings. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
but like to be honest, it's hard to say like if I'm like I have no other resources, if it's absolutely needed, I'm like I wouldn't say I'm not going to eat a human. I'm more
Right.
open, you know. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess I need to
But
think about this. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't try to convince somebody that's like in a survival situation to go vegan. Like if all you have is animals like to eat and that's like your only option, I think it's understandable why you would continue to eat animals. Um, but like we're not in that situation. Like we have like a plethora of options. Um, and it's just not really necessary. Um, and there's plenty of plant-based foods and plant-based protein sources that we can just get without exploiting animals.
Mm, okay. Mm, what do you think about some vegans that are like maybe they get unhealthy after they go vegan and they want to get out of that state, so they decided to change the way they ate. What do you think
Well,
about
I
this kind
mean,
of situation?
yeah, anybody can be healthy or unhealthy on any diet. This could happen with any diet. I think that if somebody goes vegan and they start to become unhealthy, that they should see a doctor or a nutritionalist and try to figure out what the issue is. Because the issue could be anything. It could be the diet. It could even not be the diet and be something totally different. Um, but if for people that are new to veganism or new to a plant-based diet, I would recommend that you like make sure that you're getting everything that you need, which is really not hard. If you're eating like a wide variety of plant-based foods, it's not hard at all to get all of the nutrients that you need. And another thing I would recommend to new plant-based dieters is to make sure that you're getting enough calories because animal-based foods are extremely calorically dense and animal or plant-based foods are less calorically dense. So just that's what I would say. Just make sure that you're getting enough calories. And if you have any issues come up, see a doctor, figure out what's going on there. Because I definitely want people to be healthy and so survive and thrive. But
Hmm.
like luckily you can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. In fact, like plant-based dieters live 13 years longer on average than omnivorous humans, and plant-based dieters are at a significantly lower risk of heart disease, which is the number one killer for humans on the planet. They're also at a lower risk of cancer, type 2 diabetes, and other chronic diseases. So there's a lot of like plus sides to the plant-based diet. Um, and yeah, just I would recommend to anybody, if anybody goes on a plant-based diet and faces troubles, to see a dietitian or yeah, figure out what the underlying issue is there.
Do you think it's possible that someone cannot do well on a plant-based diet?
I mean, if it's not planned properly, yeah, definitely. Just like any other diet, you know, people can do poorly on any diet if it's not planned properly, or if like you're not eating enough, or if you're only eating one certain type of food. Like, so some people will go on a plant-based diet and they'll pick like fruitarian and they'll decide, okay, I'm just gonna only eat fruit. That's a terrible idea. Like, you should eat more than just fruit. You should eat a wide variety of grains and legumes and fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and just a wide variety of foods. But yeah, it's definitely possible. But you know, that's possible on any diet for somebody to not plan it properly and go on it and then it fails them.
So, like, are you saying that if it's done properly, um, it can work for everyone?
Yeah, it can. And you know, like the American Heart Association has advocated for plant-based diets to improve cardiovascular health. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is one of the largest organizations of nutritional professionals, states that an appropriately planned plant-based diet is healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits for the prevention and treatment of diseases and chronic conditions. The World Health Organization advocates for plant-based diets. Like all of these huge organizations of nutritionalists and dietetics are saying that, like, you know, anybody can be healthy on a plant-based diet as long as it's planned properly.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, out of curiosity, like, did you notice like some health changes after you stopped eating animal products?
Yes, I did. I noticed that my skin cleared up. Like I was having some uh like pretty bad acne like before I went vegan, and it did clear up my skin quite a bit. And it
Mm,
also made my menstrual cramps significantly better.
mm,
Um, but yeah, I think that there's lots of benefits to the diet, but you know, the health benefits, they're just a plus. You know, my reason for adopting the diet was for the animals and because I'm against their exploitation.
mm. Okay, so basically, your idea is that everyone can do well on this type of diet if they um, execute it properly, and it's morally more right. So it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Hmm. Okay. Do you like eat junk food?
I mean,
Like,
every once in a while, sometimes.
hmm. Okay.
Yeah, but like if I'm like at a party and like there's a bunch of junk food out, I might have a little bit. I try not to buy junk food. I try to buy pretty healthy food, but I'll have it every once in a while.
Hmm. Okay. So, like, would you say the reason that your health improved was because you cut out like just animal products?
Yeah, I think that that played a big part on it. I think that,
Hmm.
like, specifically with my, menstrual cramps improving, I think that, like, that's directly related to the animal products for sure because these animals are loaded with a bunch of hormones. So all, like, the dairy and the eggs and the meat, it's got a bunch of added hormones in it. So I think that that was messing with me. And I think the added hormones in all of the animal products could also have been related to my skin improving.
Okay. So when would you say did you have like maybe bad skin and bad menstrual cramps?
Um, I had bad skin, like, and bad menstrual cramps from, like, when I started puberty until I adopted the plant-based diet.
Hmm. So like after around when you were 15, after you adopted a plant-based diet, these issues started to improve.
Yeah, they significantly improved.
Hmm. Nice.
Um,
Let's see.
But, that's not to say that, like, if you're not on a plant-based diet, you certainly can have manageable menstrual cramps. You certainly can have, like, perfect skin, like, if you're not on a plant-based diet. It's definitely possible. And you can also be healthy if you're not on a plant-based diet. So, like, these things, I wouldn't say they're the reason to go on the plant-based diet. The reason is that exploiting animals is wrong.
Hmm.
They're just kind of like benefits that I experienced.
Let me move on to like your content creation part, I guess. Let's see.
Okay.
Hmm. So like when did you start posting online?
Kind of recently, like a little bit less than a year ago. I think I started posting actually maybe like exactly a year ago.
And I guess you just want to make more people aware of like their cognitive dissonance. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the dissonance. Yeah. Yeah, I want to make people aware of cognitive dissonance, and I also want to correct misinformation online because,
Mm,
there is a lot of misinformation online. Um, I want to spread information and education and let people know that like anybody can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet. Um, and yeah, like why I think that exploiting animals is wrong.
okay. Yeah, so like I would say your way of spreading information is like on the aggressive side. Mm, do you do that on purpose? Like, can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, I want to grab people's attention, so I try to say things that will grab people's attention. Um, I think I've tried lots of approaches though. Some of my videos are a lot more passive, and some of my videos are maybe more aggressive, but my videos that are more like aggressive, they do get more views and they do get put out there more. So I think
Mm,
it's maybe a more effective way to spread information because more people will see it. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What was the first or what video did you see of me, and what was your first like initial thought?
I mean, I can like pinpoint what I saw, but that was definitely like a just more aggressive type. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Hmm. So would you say like you are not like that in real life?
I'm definitely not. I'm passive and I'm super chill. But yeah, and I'm trying to get people's attention online.
Hmm. That's understandable. Like, I guess you can have a different personality when you are in a video. Depends on what you want to
Right.
go for.
Yeah, and I think that this information is extremely important. Like, I really want people to listen and to know more information about this. Because when I first started learning about animal agriculture, I had wished that I had known sooner. So, I'm trying to
Hmm.
get the information to people as effectively as possible.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Just want to give people the ability to make like a more comprehensive choice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think people deserve to know the truth about where their food is coming from.
Hmm. Okay, I see. So yeah, I think your kind of content can attract a lot of haters. So how has that been
Yeah.
for you?
I mean, it's fine. Haters gonna hate. They don't really bother me too much. Although, like, people have said some like really horrific things to me. Like, I've gotten some pretty bad like threats, like death threats, like rape threats, like some really just disgusting threats. Um, but like I just mostly don't read the comments and mostly just like don't read my messages or whatever to deal with it. Um, and I think that the haters are kind of helping me in a way if they like, well, first of all, if they're engaging with my posts, it is promoting my post, even if they're engaging by commenting like a bunch of meat emojis or whatever. um, but then also, like if they comment something like really disgusting, like threatening me, that doesn't make their position look good. So I kind of see that as also helping my position.
Hmm. Okay. How often do you try to post? Do you have like a schedule?
No, I don't have a schedule. It's very random. Like a lot of the time, I'll get a bunch of energy and a bunch of ideas, and I'll make a bunch of videos, and then I'll be burnt out for like a week, and I'll take a break for a week, and then I'll get a bunch more ideas and post a bunch more videos. I just kind of do it when it feels right.
Hmm. Okay. Have you ever
And
felt like yeah? Have you ever felt very, um, I guess forceless because of the haters? If you know what I mean.
um, no, can you elaborate on
Yeah,
what you
like
mean?
you feel very down.
Yeah, I mean, like, not really, honestly.
Mm,
Like, I mean, I feel sad for people and for the way that some people think and like, like when people have said some really, really disgusting things, as I've had some moments where I'm like, wow, is this just how people really think and what people really want to say that they're too scared to say in person? But I don't think that's the case. I think I'm dealing with some of like some of the types of people that are going to say that they stick out like a sore thumb, and I don't think that's how most people are. I think most people are pretty normal.
mm,
But I also do debates on TikTok. I hold debates and let people come up and state their opinion, and I ask them questions about it, and we kind of have a conversation. And that has helped me have a brighter view on what I'm doing too, because I've had so many thought-provoking conversations with people, um, that I know, like, the haters, they are just gonna hate, and they might come around eventually, because I've also had a lot of situations with, like, long-term haters on my channel eventually having a conversation with me and coming to the conclusion to adopt a plant-based diet. So you never know. Like, as
mm,
they like, even if they're coming to my page just to hate on me, they are hearing what I'm saying and consuming my content. So you just never know where, if you plant a seed, you never know how big it'll grow.
Hmm. Okay. How do you go about your like debate on TikTok? Like, do you do that like regularly?
I used to do it a lot more regularly than lately. I haven't been doing it super regularly lately, but I have a background that says it's wrong to use, abuse, and eat animals. Request a box and come up and tell me if you agree or disagree. And yeah, I just have thought-provoking conversations with people and ask them, they'll come up and say, I don't think it's wrong to eat animals. And I'll ask them why. Why don't you think it's wrong to eat animals? And do you think it would be wrong to eat, like, do you have this view on all animals? Do you think it would be wrong to eat cats and dogs and humans or just some animals? And if it's just some animals, like, why do you think that? What makes it okay to eat them, but not a dog or a cat or a human? Um, and yeah, I have some really good conversations on there. I've also had some really bad conversations where people are like threatening me or whatever. But it's been pretty beneficial
Hmm.
overall.
Okay. So like you start a live stream and random people online can join you.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So like some people like you had some bad conversation with like people face to face online.
right.
Oh, okay. Is it like the person got angry or something?
Yeah,
Triggered?
I've had people, yeah, people get triggered, people get angry at me, people have threatened me, people have said that they're
Okay.
gonna do disgusting things. And
Mm, mm,
But
okay.
yeah, if they start getting like that, I'll usually just, I'm in control of the live. So I'll usually just be like, okay, goodbye, have a nice day. And I let them go and I move on to the next guest.
Mm, okay. Do you usually like does your live stream have recordings?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get the recordings from TikTok. They make it kind of difficult. So I don't have every single one, but I do
Mm,
have some and I posted them on my YouTube channel.
oh, okay. I see, I see. Mm, let's see. Oh, what about like positive things after you started posting? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so um, I've had lots and lots of people tell me that I convinced them to adopt a plant-based diet, which is the most rewarding thing, and that's why I keep on doing it because I know I'm being effective. Um, and I've also had some other like vegans tell me that I've inspired them to start doing activism, which is also super valuable to me. Um, so yeah, that's why I'm doing it. And even if it's like um, just one person that my post will convince somebody to go plant-based, it's worth it to me, because just one person going plant-based, that can save like 300 animals in a year. So it does make a big difference, and like each individual decision does matter.
And maybe that person can affect others too.
Exactly, yeah, it can be like a ripple effect.
Hmm. Okay. Let's see. Do people like send you DMs or they just like leave comments and say that they maybe went vegan because of you?
Um, I've heard it in DMs, I've seen it on comments, and then, the place that I've seen it the most is in live discussions. Like after a long discussion, people are like, I've never thought about it like this, and I think that you're right. Animals don't deserve to be exploited, and I'm gonna start eating plant-based now. And that's, yeah, a very, very good feeling.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Um, we are coming to an end. So, can you just tell the viewers what are your goals? It can be anything.
Sure. Yeah, my goals are to liberate animals and to get people to see other animals as individuals that deserve rights to their bodily autonomy, and don't deserve to be exploited. And, I think I'm going to keep on doing this, like, either for the rest of my life or until every cage is empty, because it's so important to me. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts on all of my positions, Leo?
Mm, I think yeah, this is a complicated issue. Hmm. But I think mm, caring about other lives is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. Other individuals matter.
mm. Yes. Oh, what would you think like a perfect world looks like?
A perfect world. Well, in my perfect world, um, everybody would see sentience as mattering and sentient individuals as their own individuals that matter, that aren't here to serve us, that aren't here to be ours to use. They're their own individuals. And so everybody would, like not exploit other animals, not commodify other animals. Um, and we would all like respect each other's bodily autonomy and um, respect everybody's right to give consent.
So, what about like nature? So, like in a perfect situation, what would you want the nature to look like?
Yeah, nature. That's a good argument. So I don't like humans interfering with nature. And yeah, nature is not moral. Nature is very, very immoral. Like in nature, animals will kill each other and rape each other and like commit infanticide. So, um, like nature also has its own like natural balance. And I think that humans getting involved in nature is kind of wrong on its own too, because nature can balance itself out. Nature like works within itself just fine. But humans have separated ourselves from nature. So, that's why I don't get my morals from nature. But people will ask me a lot, like, oh, well, you think it's wrong for humans to kill other animals, what about a lion killing a gazelle for its meal? And it's like, okay, yeah, I don't think that that's moral. I don't think it's moral for the lion to kill the gazelle. I also don't think it's moral for a lion to rape another lion or commit infanticide. But this is just nature. They're not moral agents, they're moral patients. Um, so obviously, I'm not going to base my morality off of wild animals. But like in my own perfect world, um, humans would just still leave nature alone and not get involved in nature and let nature do its thing and have humans do our thing since we've separated ourselves from nature.
Hmm. Okay. I think I have heard like a vegan said that maybe he would want to how do I say it? Like change how nature works. I kind of forgot what he said, but basically he doesn't want like there to be any like killing and things. Yeah. What do you think about that? Just like
I guess
manipulate nature in a way that there's like no suffering.
if we were able to manipulate nature in a way that there would be no suffering, I think that that would be great. But I just don't think that humans can manipulate nature in a positive way. Every time we try to manipulate nature, I feel like it doesn't end well. But, if it was like a perfect world and we could manipulate nature without, like ruining everything and create no suffering absolutely, yeah, that would be great.
Hmm. So you are saying that if we mess with nature without like doing enough research, it can create a lot of bad problems.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. I see. I see. Hmm. So, like, if people want to see your content, where can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram the most, Jade for Justice on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm Jade for Justice everywhere. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I also have a link tree that has everything. linktr.ee/Jade for Justice. And everything's on there.
Okay. And do you have any final words?
Um, I guess I'm wondering, do you feel like you've learned anything or gained like new insight from this discussion?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. But it's a little bit hard for me to like I'm still learning, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
got you.
I think my mm, yeah, I think that was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Could you see yourself adopting a plant-based diet in the future?
Hmm. Hmm. I feel like it depends on how I feel. Like my how I operate, how my body operates. Yeah. Because like hmm, I don't know how good I will feel when I go adopt like a plant-based diet. Yeah, but honestly, to be honest, I'll imagine that it's not going to feel super good because just like um how I operate wise, because I like eating meat.
Right. But have you ever tried like plant-based meat? Because you can like pretty much still be eating the same things that you're eating and just swap it out for plant-based um, options. And like plant-based meats compared to animal-based meats can be significantly better for your health because they are significantly lower in like saturated fats and cholesterol, but have like a similar protein content. What do you think about that?
Honestly, I need to try before I can know the exact answer. But I'm pretty against, I guess, like um just not natural food. Yeah, so like
Right.
a plant-based meat, it sounds like not very natural. If I were to go plant-based, I would probably eat just some natural plant foods I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fine if you don't want to eat processed foods, but like I just want to bring to your attention that the animal-based products are not natural, because these animals have been selectively bred and genetically modified by humans to be these like meat and milk and egg producing machines. So that it's not the way that they were in nature. They're like completely different human created products. And like, it's a whole process to get them turned from an animal into a burger, like it is like a processed food. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that to your attention as well.
Mm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So Jade, I think that's pretty much all I want to cover. So thank you once again for just taking the time to do this. Yeah.
Thank you, Leo. I
Mm.
hope you have a
Yeah.
good rest of your day.
I know you still have a long day ahead of you. So yeah. Uh, good luck. Yeah. I don't
Thank
know.
you.
I might stay up today. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to end the recording. Do you want to say
Okay.
bye bye to the viewers?
Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Bye bye.
watching.